Oh dear. Oh dear. There's too much. There's too much going on. There's 100% too much going on. The Mason fan club is literally pouncing during the intro moments, like they don't even let us get on the air. Speaker Mike Johnson is texting you right before we go on. There's too much, people.
Yep, Speaker Mike Johnson just texted me. I'm texting you because you're the most qualified to respond. I think he needs help, quelling the storm that's
The funny
brewing
thing
against
is,
him.
when you click through that text message, you'll find out that there's a paywall in order to respond, and that's called the RNC coffers.
Yep, they want to survey me, but they want me to pay $25
Of course.
to give my response.
It's not paying $25. You're chipping in to save America from hopefully Speaker Johnson.
I just texted back my debit card number. I'm like, take it all.
You know that there's people who
And
do
people
that.
say he's bad at fundraising.
People say he's bad at fundraising. Not for Ukraine. He's great at fundraising for Ukraine.
true.
This is a proven fact as of the last week.
It's true.
Perfectly great at funding for Ukraine. Well, that was the banter section. I hope you've enjoyed it. No, I'm kidding. It's not the entire banter section. We are just here for your complete enjoyment and political fueling today. Hopefully you are doing the fun things and following us across all the social media channels, liking, sharing, and subscribing wherever you are. But it is Thursday, it's noon, it's caucus time. So Mason and Ryan, we are here to take you through some important stuff today. And at this moment, my wife is getting texts from Mike Carter, which if you're a local person, Mike Carter runs for a lot of things. I forget what he's just announced he's running for now. We are the in crowd between you and your wife, the fan club, me and my wife, the fan club, and then we're all getting texts from important Missouri and national political people.
Yep.
You're in the right place, folks. Like we are the in crowd. But as our boss says, as Ed always says, we are not of the swamp, just in the swamp. We're not in the swamp physically, but
Amen.
Amen. I do have friends in Florida, though. We pray for them.
They are in a
All
different
the time.
swamp.
Oh, it's the literal swamp, the horrible. Woof.
Yeah.
Oh, but it is a wonderful, beautiful day here in St. Louis on this sunny Thursday, and we got a lot of fun stuff going on. Can I start? But before we dive in to our free market immunity discussion, which if you've followed us for any amount of time, you now know that I always mash up the headlines that we're going to discuss into some amalgamation. Yeah, like this crazy creation that actually is nonsensical and isn't necessarily a topic. It's all the topics put together. You may have surmised by now that's what we do, but it attracts attention. But I thought about this today. Here's your fun. We're not going to do this segment every time, but there's a fun fact of today. Because I put T-minus 24 minutes and I was doing our social posting, making sure folks knew to come in and get on. And I thought, what T-minus? We all know this from rocket launch, stuff at NASA, T-minus whatever seconds. Where did this come from? There are two kinds of time. NASA has T-minus time, T time, and L time. Did you know that L time exists?
No.
I didn't know that L time exists. So I'm a homeschool dad. I'm allowed to take this privilege and run with it. So T time and L time. L time consists of an actual time that has elapsed, meaning it's a continuous countdown that cannot be modified. T-minus time, on the other hand, can be stopped and started. So during a launch, you may have to take a break, a pause. We have a T-minus 45 seconds to count, to lift off, but you can stop that. The L-minus time is the end of the mission, like coming back. This is a continuing elapse of time, unstoppable, can't pause it. This is just what's happened.
So it's measured from like after the fact?
After the fact.
Okay.
And then it stops at the end of the mission or whatever it is. So, of course, like I said, I was realizing everyone's just T-minus isn't just 10 seconds, people. There's literally months of preparation where everyone's been T-minusing over at NASA or SpaceX, which is true here too. You all have this little 2-minute countdown, but we've been running around like crazy for a while to make sure it's ready. So there you go, T-time and L-time from NASA. Time elapsed, L, that makes sense to me, and T-time, time to launch. I don't know, maybe L doesn't stand for elapsed, but that's how I'm going to differentiate them, and you can do it
elapsed
too.
starts with an E.
Yeah, I know, but there's an L sound in it. Work with me, man.
You could just
We're
say
all about
lapsed.
phonics here.
Lapsed time.
Lapsed time, well.
That's a word.
You got to be careful, because then people are going to start accusing us of lapsed judgment. Oh, boy. Well, it is.
There's none of that here, ever.
None of that here, ever. It's a good day. It's a good day to get into it. We got a few headlines to go back and forth. By the way, a quick shout out. We have a tiny but apparently thriving fan club. We have 3 people in Belgium now. 3 people.
Hi, Belgians.
Or maybe 1 person in Belgium that has downloaded us 3 times, I don't know, on the podcast. So to our small but loyal, growing loyal Belgian fan club, thank you. We love you. We are glad that you're here. Everyone else is in the United States, which makes sense based on what we talk about.
Yeah.
There you go. I just wanted to shout out our Belgium crew, whoever you are. Thank you, and keep listening to the podcast.
Maybe send us some waffles.
Send us some. That's true. We're gonna have waffles tonight. Chicken and waffle night at the
that's
Hyde
nice.
household. I think. Sorry if I've just put that pressure on you and said it out loud in front of my children. I apologize, but I think that's what we're doing, right? Anyway, so we've got lots of headlines today. There's a lot going on. Last week we went deep into the Trump trial, which actually, the point that we made in the punny headline, that the deep state is the one on trial. And truly, that's what we're shaping up, this cataclysmic, epic showdown of the deep state and our understanding of that as Americans. It really, I don't think, has that much to do with Donald Trump. It has to do with the deep state. We went into that. So that has continued this week. There's lots of other stuff happening, though, and you've pulled some key headlines. I've pulled some key headlines, and we're going to dive into them here, which, by the way, before we jump off into that, the last thing, make sure not only like, share, and subscribe wherever you are, send this to a friend, get into the comment or the chat, please. That's very helpful to the algorithms. But go to unauthorizedcaucus.com, sign up for the email list, because we send out awesome links that you will probably want to get on board for this week, since we're going to have to skim across the top of them, but there's a lot more reading and understanding to be done. That's that. I've now talked for a significant portion of this beginning. It's your turn.
It's my turn?
It's your turn. So, diving off straight into it, what is your first major story and the story behind the story that we need to talk about?
Well, I decided to, go for some stuff that I really doubt people will have heard of. Interesting kind of under wraps type stories. And the first one I found was I found this the other day, and I was like, this is super interesting. And it's comes out of a Substack article that will, of course, all of this will be linked in the redacted email. That is why you want to be on there. But this is a Substack article, a great little bit of investigative journalism done independently called the Wikipedia fundraising scam. Because, unpopular opinion, I think, is that I actually kind of like Wikipedia. I think it's useful. I think that you can find, it's a great place to look for bibliography, try to find other sources, or learn a very cursory summary. If you're talking about modern politics, it's hopeless, but if anything historical or scientific, just something random, if you want to train for trivia, Wikipedia is a great place to go. And we've all been on Wikipedia at one point or another probably, and we're all used to seeing, Wikipedia's ad-free, thank goodness. That'd be so obnoxious if they also succumbed to the onslaught of ads all over every website these days. But they have that little pop-up at the top that's like, Wikipedia relies on people like you to donate so we can keep ourselves afloat. And I had always kind of figured, who the heck donates to Wikipedia? They're probably always struggling. I'm not going to donate to Wikipedia. Apparently they are extremely wealthy.
They are.
They have so much money, and it's not...
And by the way, full disclosure, I too love Wikipedia. I don't trust Wikipedia at all, but I use it frequently as a launch point to find information. I always go and verify it, but it's a fantastic summmy. Just to be fair, as a researcher, professionally, we both use Wikipedia. Just don't ever quote Wikipedia.
Right.
Don't trust it.
Yeah, obviously.
For sure. Sorry, go ahead.
But, so, at the end of fiscal year 2023, Wikipedia had $250 million in net assets. And, you say net assets, that's usually tied up in a lot of other things. But I think it's over half of this, something like 170 million, is liquid enough to actually be used and transferred to other places. And that's not just managed by Wikipedia. They have outsourced the management to an organization called, that's the investigator, the Tides Foundation, which is according to Wikipedia, ironically, this guy cites Wikipedia because their description of the Tides Foundation is damning enough. But the Tides Foundation is, excuse me, a left-leaning donor-advised fund based in the United States. It was founded in San Francisco in 1976 by Drummond Pike. Tides distributes money from anonymous donors to other organizations which are often politically progressive. An affiliated group, Tides Advocacy, is a massive progressive incubator. Tides has received substantial funding from George Soros. So this is who manages Wikipedia's money. And they funnel it into left-wing nonprofits. that's one of the arms of the deep state, as Colonel Mills always talks about. We can call that one of the 6 branches of government, is the nonprofit sphere, these advocacy spheres.
Yeah.
They do a lot. I mean, especially in terms of elections, if you watch 2000 Mules, they alluded a lot to the impact that left-wing nonprofits had in that. If you look at the Capital Research Center, they're always publishing stuff about these left-wing nonprofits and how much they're doing and how much they impact the American Republic. Their political advocacy is rampant and effective. And Wikipedia is giving them money, which I was very surprised to find out about this. I was just shocked.
Shocking. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I don't have a whole lot of comment. You're there. I mean, that's, we talk about this. We talk about this with John Mills a lot. Lieutenant Colonel John Mills, retired, is one of our favorites around here. His Substack is a great resource for this, by the way, because he talks a ton about the nonprofit. Of course, he calls them the 4th branch of government, the nonprofits. But yeah, I mean, and this is we were tied up in this too. This is one that actually comes in as well. As you look down the line of nonprofits, one of the things we talk about, there are tons of, and I'm going to rabbit trail a little bit to the side because this is something else we've discussed. One of the biggest hampers right now in the lawfare sphere is this world of nonprofits, because there are groups, CREW is one of them, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. It's a communist front organization. Like it's all leftist, hacks to the core, but out front it looks like this nice little 501c3 nonprofit that is built around ethics in law in the DC area, particularly the DC bar. The whole point, though, is it's a front organization for leftist hacks, partisans, to beat the snot out of the Jeff Clarks of the world and anyone who would dare step into the right wing. We're going to file complaints against you. We're going to try to get your license revoked. We're going to do all this different stuff. They operate through this world of nonprofit, big, giant, and I mean, this is a giant money hole that where it can get shifted around and used. And of course, do these folks ever get knocks on the door from the IRS? Hello, you've been having political conversations. No, not the left-wing ones. So it really is an incredible tool, an arm that has become politicized and activated that the left uses. And with complete immunity, like I said, the IRS doesn't go hampering them, where Lois Lerner's sure beating up on Tea Party groups back in the day, but these folks now are getting away with it. This is a huge issue to look at, and then it ties back to somebody unsavory. I mean, I can't even hardly remember the amount of nonprofits I found out are basically funded directly by Soros, but 1 to 2 companies later, the money is finally here and it's being used, for some purpose that you never know who it's connected to. But it's not that hard to go find out. They're not trying very hard to hide it. Like with this stuff that you're talking about, they're not trying very hard to hide it.
Right, because they don't need to, because, I mean, it's, the left uses law as a weapon.
Yes.
And the right does not use law as a weapon.
And this kind of brings us into it. I mean, this is welcome to the unauthorized part of the caucus. Here's another rabbit trail. Let me ask you this, because this is a question I've batted around with some other people. The left is terrible at just haranguing and hog-tying and hamstringing, and I don't have a 4th word that starts with H, but I want to. Part of me wants to have another one. Heckling! Thank you! You could be a Baptist pastor's kid, man. You piled into the alliteration there, great. But they are always using the system to be annoying, for lack of a better term, or a cleaner term, and beat the snot out of conservatives who are trying to do the right thing. The right doesn't do that.
Right.
Here's my take and a question. I would tend to say the right doesn't do that because that's one of those, guys, this is not how we should behave. This is not how we should use the system. So let's go above it. I mean, Phyllis, it's a very Phyllis-y thing. Eagles fly above the storm. This go to the high road kind of thing. At the same time, I am for the high road, and I am never for compromising on your convictions. When does the right say, fine, you want to take off the gloves and play dirty? We're not going to play anything outside the rules, but we will use the rules in a street fight to beat you to a bloody pulp. Stop it. Like, again, I'm not advocating for anything unethical or illegal or breaking of your convictions, but even if it's just kind of unsavory to use the system in such an annoying way, if they're going to do it and hamper us, and taking the high road just means you're ineffective, when are you going to say, fine, Someone take the chain off the bike and let's go. Well, let's go to the alley and handle this now. I'm looking for a right-wing organization or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 to do that and just hamper it. Ed has started to do that. Let's file ethics complaints against Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is a member of Congress, and he publicly lied and then later acknowledged he lied. How about the California bar revoke his license, huh? What's up with that? Are you, California, are you allowing people with law licenses in your state to do that and get away with it publicly? Right. Where are the groups doing this? Is it time for the right to get over and unruffle their petticoats a little bit and go after people, since we are in a street fight, and if we don't win, it doesn't matter that we had, to your point last week, we have our principles, but we're sitting in the ditch and we lost.
Right.
Good for you. Right. Again, I'm not, don't hear me say that you have to throw out your convictions for this, but I'm saying outside of that, there's a lot of leeway that we just choose not to go that direction because it's not the I agree, it's not the preferable direction, but when are we going to start winning again?
Yeah.
Do you think it's time for the right to do that? Or am I out of line and everyone should? Is there a way around that or over that without just playing their game and beating them at it? Because all I feel like we do is get beat up and never win. What's up? What do you think? Am I out of bounds there?
Well, I mean, I think you probably know my answer because we keep talking about this, week in and week out of, this and like similar
but we're
subjects.
both dads with small children. I don't remember anything past 24 hours.
Yeah, I've got a newborn. I don't remember what I did this morning.
Mason's still trying to figure out what day it is. No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
For real.
But no, yeah, I mean, really go into it. Like, that's the whole point. We're having these conversation things for them, not for us.
Right, exactly. Well, so this... usually we like to bat back and forth with our headlines, but this segues so perfectly into my second headline that I'm just going to have to bring it up because otherwise, it would be awkward if I was like, let's put a pin in this and talk.
No, by all means, let's segue away. Seg away.
I'm segging away right now.
Away.
So.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, people. This is today. Go ahead.
Yesterday, 2 days ago, Eric Erickson, who's a conservative radio host, pundit type guy, he published an article in the National Review and also, tweeted about it and released a little video about it because I guess he has a podcast too. I've never been real into this guy, and after watching this video and reading bits of this article, I think I would only ever get into this guy to hate watch because he is like the embodiment of like conservatives loving losing. Like he's just like, please, I want to lose more. Give me more defeat. Like I destroy me more and more because this is where the free market part of our title comes in, because the article he published it was about conservatives are now defending free markets from both sides. The far right and the left both are, being critical of free markets, which I don't think that's a very fair assessment. A couple days ago, Ed had a What You Need to Know segment about how Donald Trump kind of changed the game on this and, was like, hey, what if we like win a trade war instead of lose a trade war? Having a trade war at all goes against absolutist free market principles. But that's besides the point, really, of he's framing the discussion wrong. But in this video he talks about like there's this new group of people. Sorry, my throat's just all wrong today. This new group of people who call themselves conservatives but are not conservatives, because he talks about like, oh, there's these so-called conservatives who want to use the government to get their way. And he's like, they just don't get it. They think they don't understand that once you start doing something, once you expand the parameters of what government can do, once your enemies get into power, well, he doesn't use a word like enemies because that's too Schmittian, and he's obviously never read or understood Carl Schmitt. But once the other side gets into power, they'll be able to use that back at you. And I'm just thinking, you don't understand, Mr. Eric Erickson. Like, you don't get it. You're the one that does not get it here, because they are the ones that have been expanding what power can and can't do and using it on us. The limits are already expanded. We're just artificially putting limits on ourselves. We're artificially putting the limits that we wish were in place for them on ourselves and hoping that somehow that's going to rein them in too. It's not. Mm-hmm. It never does. And he talks about like once your enemies get power, they're going to be able to use this back on you. And so you think like, okay, well, why hasn't this happened to the left? Why hasn't them, expanding power and expanding the abilities of power turned around on them, it's because they've never given up power. They've been able to continuously grow their power and re-entrench themselves over and over again, and that is why we are facing these insane social issues today, and just insane stuff like the capital gains hike that Biden's trying to get through, immigration out the wazoo, just absolute disasters for the American people. So it's like, you don't get it. You're not even playing the same game. This kind of conservatism it conserves nothing. It's giving up. And our number one favorite thinker had a really funny reply. Charles Haywood replied, "You make me want to puke. For 30 years I've listened to this kind of cretinous garbage. STFU." Which is like, yeah.
Here, when you said our favorite thinker, I thought you were going to say Coach, but no, you went to Charles Haywood. Yeah, it's my other favorite.
It's true though.
No, I oh boy, this is a.
So, but
this is a real
I
can
can
of
answer
worms
your
to
question
open.
now that I've given all this exposition.
Finish and then let me go, and we're not even 30 minutes in, man. We may break an hour today.
I'm all for it.
Buckle up, people. We might break an hour today.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not in a rush today.
We're not. The question is, if we go over an hour, will the Belgians stick with us?
I hope so.
Or will that make them love us more?
I don't know what time it is in Belgium.
If we start going over an hour, will we pick up more? Will it spread like wildfire across Europe? I'm sorry, I'm considering things that I can't figure out. Go for it.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, it is time for conservatives to take off the gloves and and maybe even go a little farther than you're saying.
Oh yeah, I'm just giving examples. I'm by no means saying that is the extent.
Right, but you say stay within the rules, but use the rules to fight them. It's like, no, the rules can be changed, and they are changing the rules to come after us. Our rules are not built absolutely on moral convictions. They are somewhat arbitrary of what we think might work best. What the framers of the Constitution made. They were like, okay, we think this might work best, but we have an amendment process. We have ways that you can change things. We have ways that you can change the laws. So constraining yourself by the rules that are in place or that were in place is not necessary, because you can change the rules, and you kind of have to win. Because winning is all that matters. It's all that matters. Your principles do not matter unless you're winning.
Well, that's the thing. You can't, I part of me wants to say it a different way than that, but I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree. Your principles do matter, but if you're not winning, your principles are yours, and good for you. Woohoo!
Right.
Bake yourself a cupcake.
Yeah.
You have your principles, but that we're not just talking about individual principles. We're not talking about you upholding. We're talking about governing a nation. There is to our point a few weeks ago, there are many things to be considered here. Least of all, convictions balanced with strategy, balanced with tactics. There's other considerations here, and I'm pulling up this one because here's my overarching point. Let me see if I can find this. So I'm an advocate of, well, first let me say, Eric Erickson, I generally agree with you. Not my favorite conservative pundit or thinker to listen to, but I do appreciate one thing. He was avidly anti-Trump in 2016, but unlike the full never Trump crowd, he did not make it a religious viewpoint. He actually came back and said, all right, it's my time to eat crow. Trump has done a good job. I'm voting for him this next time or something. I don't remember if he voted for him, but whatever it was, he admitted, I was here, now I'm here. I respect that about Eric Erickson. He's usually willing to do that. However, yes, this is one of those. I listen to these folks describe this imaginary set of boundaries that only we abide by. And to your point, the left they have thrown those away a long time ago. So I get it. There is an argument to be made often about precedent. Do we want to open the door to this and do this way? Do you want to be the first one? And then now it can be. Sometimes, like with the nuclear option in the Senate, we talk about that, getting rid of the 60-volt threshold, this and that. Sometimes there is, in fact, a situation in which you don't want to be the one to change the rule. Even though it would be helpful for you now, it's going to hurt you later. That's a legitimate conversation to be had. But I feel like that is so badly abused by these so-called conservatives. Conserving what is my question, Eric Erickson. What are you conserving? Because all you're doing is conserving the left's power to do whatever they want. which is what they're doing now anyway. This is used to abuse and cow conservatives into being afraid of using power correctly, I would say.
Yeah.
And it is oftentimes, take off the gloves, use your power correctly. Here's why I think that. They are referring to a time gone by in America when two different versions of an argument existed, and we all had this discussion about policy and crafted these things, but inside a generic similarity and understanding, we're all the same, even though we have these different opinions on this issue, or two or three or four. That is not what we're dealing with. We're dealing with Marxists. We are dealing with religious zealots, and they must destroy us to win. We must destroy them to preserve America. Now, I'm not even referring to all-out actual violent war with arms, although these people will take it there. And if they go there, we as Americans must decide, is defending your country worth that or not? We're not there yet, but we are definitely on the edge of it. So whatever technicalities you want to put onto it, we must fight and destroy this enemy. This is not the same group of people that exists inside this nice group of boundaries with us. So I feel like when you make this argument, to me, you're describing 100 to 150 years ago, and it's like, good for you, but we don't live in that world anymore. So I'm hamstringing myself in a great sense when the other side has already freed themselves from this. This is like, to me, this is the same argument that the Constitutional Convention folks make. Oh, we should have a convention of states to fix everything. Why? Well, because they're not obeying the Constitution. So you want to change the Constitution? It sounds to me like you should change the people not obeying the Constitution. Why would changing the system make them do anything different?
Right.
Same thing with here. Well, if we were the ones to do this, they're already not obeying it. So we got to go take the club into the alley and deal with this, not go and just change the system. Oh, well, we can't be the first ones to do that. Dude, they're already left. They're gone. They're not here anymore. They're outside this boundary.
Right.
Why would we? The whole point is to preserve this boundary. They're outside of it. We don't give them the benefit of being. There's a lot of different.
They're already putting their political enemies in prison. So you're not setting a new precedent. If we start rounding up liberals or leftists, libtards, and putting them into jail, we're not setting a new precedent by doing that. We're just playing by the new rules.
Yeah. But this, what I was looking for, it reminds me of this. I love there's a little bit of an extended version of it, because people always quote the end of it, but John Adams writing to the Massachusetts militia, October 11, 1798. You know where I'm going with this?
No.
Okay, cool. I love being able to surprise you when you're all, the academic and this author and that thinker and this, and I'm like, ha, founding father, gotcha. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, I see your academics and I raise you a founding father. Pardon me, coffee break. John Adams says, because we have no government armed with power capable of contending with human passions unbridled by morality and religion, avarice, ambition, revenge, or gallantry would break the strongest cords of our Constitution as a whale goes through a net. Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. We cannot expect this system to restrain evil. Just the system on its own. We must fight and stop the evil from upending and destroying the system. And I feel like it's a disingenuous argument whenever I see the Eric Ericksons or the whoever's of the world whine about how conservatives ought not to do this and that and that. You know what? Why? They're not obeying our system. Right. It just, like a whale goes through a net, this unbridled human passion, this unbridled evil of Marxism is just trampling the system. I do not stop that by obeying the system and staying inside. That is not meekness, that is weakness.
Right.
Choosing a position of weakness is foolish and absolutely a good way to lose America. I am ready for conservatives to take off the gloves. And if that comes with Orange Man and mean tweets, I think everyone needs to get over it.
Right.
And I'm hoping that the Trump trials, to our point of last week's conversation, are a flashpoint, a big thing where people go, oh, that's what's at stake. Yeah. Yes, Donald Trump does not fit the mold that Eric Erickson and others are describing, but guess what? That mold died a long time ago. That is not the enemy anymore.
Yeah.
The enemy are Marxists who will kill you if given the chance, both morally and philosophically and literally. Literally. This is where we're at. We're not fighting inside the system. We are fighting internal agents who are trying to destroy it. We must defend the system. So does that mean we operate outside of it? Well,
we got to do what we got to do.
Welcome to the broken part of human nature.
Yeah.
This is not perfect. This is a fallen world. This is not perfect.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm with you. I am sick of conservatives choosing a position of weakness based on a false premise in my mindset. It is time for serious action and serious usage. That's why I love people like Mike Davis. Mike Davis, by the way, if you're on X, go follow Mike Davis throughout this Trump trial. He is a pure savage on Twitter, mixed with one of the most brilliant legal minds I've ever met. It's hilarious.
He's great.
There's like all of a sudden, Blackstone's commentaries on the laws of America are like going in his tweets just from his stream of consciousness. And then just this savage memery, the next post. It's fantastic.
He's great.
He is. But it's one of his overarching points. Donald Trump must win in November, and Joe Biden and your cronies, you better watch out. Because we must turn around and use the full force of everything we have to jail and remove everyone who is there to destroy America from within.
Yeah.
Do not play Mr. Nice Guy. Do not turn around with this magnanimous bipartisan. There is no bipartisanship with communists. Destroy them, get them out of government, jail them all. That's kind of his point.
Yeah.
You know what? I agree with that. That is the mentality shift that I think is needed for conservatives, because we're not fighting the same old enemy inside the same old system, and it's this little nuanced difference. No, these are outsiders who have infiltrated our system, and they are not of it, and they will not preserve it.
Right.
So if you obey your own rules, the rules of engagement have changed, people. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, very true.
How many links did you have? Because we're only through 2 of yours, and we're at like 40 minutes in.
I only had 3.
Oh, you only had 3?
Yeah.
Cool. Whew. All right, hold on. I'm calming down from that one. I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's a good one. And we pulled up John Adams, and I got distracted there. But well, let me dive into this. I want to get your take on something. So here's my prediction. Everyone's talking about the Trump trial. Trump trial in Manhattan. Trump trial in Manhattan. Trump trial in Manhattan. The Supreme Court today is hearing oral arguments on whether or not Donald Trump has immunity as President of the United States. And this one could put a huge nail in the coffin of this issue for quite some time. So the background to this is the DC, and I think actually Will Schnarf, oh my goodness, the name is just escaping me. The guy here in Missouri, Will Scharf, is running. I don't know why there's a sandwich shop named Schnarf's. Sorry, Will, if you're listening, I'm super sorry. We've gone over things. Will Scharf is running for Attorney General here in Missouri. He is one of Trump's lawyers, and he's actually, I think he's there today at the Supreme Court. I don't know if he's one of the ones doing the arguments, but he's running. Of course, Andrew Bailey is running for the first time. Andrew Bailey's done a really good job. He's been appointed, though. He's never been elected statewide. He was appointed to fill in when Eric Schmidt won to go to the Senate. And Eric Schmidt has been awesome. By the way, we don't need to get into the Ukraine, into the $95 billion foreign aid package thing, but both of our senators in Missouri, Hawley and Schmidt, voted no on not just the thing that's coming, but they voted no to even move it forward and close the argument. Like so often, yeah, fine, I'll vote yes to move it forward, then I'm going to vote no against a bill because I'm done arguing. They voted no on everything. No, no, no. And I was like, yes, good for Missouri, that giant red state in the middle of the country there. Anyway, that's going on right now. Now, the D.C. Circuit ruled already, and this is appeal that has gone up to the Supreme Court. The D.C. Circuit already ruled President Trump has no immunity from criminal prosecution. They literally actually ruled, and it was not a narrow decision. The D.C. Circuit, if I'm not mistaken, said literally there is no such thing as immunity from criminal prosecution, period, which is actually completely opposite to Supreme Court precedent in Nixon v. Fitzgerald, which did say that they have, it granted former presidents, I think, absolute immunity from civil lawsuits for acts within the outer perimeter of their duties of office. And then this has been tested. I know that there was a case that had to do with Obama and a drone strike in 2011. Like Nixon v. Fitzgerald has been probed in recent years. But the D.C. Circuit Court didn't just hold that that Trump's alleged criminal conduct was outside that outer perimeter. They just held there is no such immunity at all from criminal prosecution, which I think the Nixon v. Fitzgerald is much more clear and makes a distinction between civil and criminal. So they're trying to monkey around with the criminal definition. So here's the thing. I think that the correct decision from the Supreme Court, obviously I know better than them, that's why I'm telling you this. Yes, of course.
Justice Ryan.
Sarcasm. I'm just kidding. Justice Ryan, Judge Ryan. No. If I'm just me on my own, it's a TV show and there's no justice. It's Judge Ryan.
Judge Ryan.
I could be like Matt Walsh now. He has a judge show. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. I've just seen that it's happened.
Yeah.
Him in judicial robes is hilarious. So I am certain that the correct at this point thing is to rule that Trump does have immunity, and I think that the Supreme Court is likely to actually rule that. However, my one question mark is Amy Coney Barrett. She might vote with the three liberals, I think, based on what we heard from past and present oral arguments. Because you can go and listen. By the way, the one thing I'm thankful for about the whole pandemic is that the Supreme Court decided to start live streaming the audio, and they never stopped, even though the courtroom is not shut down anymore. So you can go and listen live to Supreme Court oral arguments, which is super cool. If you don't do that, go supremecourt.gov. They do those.
Neat.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I think that they're going to rule that Trump does, in fact, have immunity. And I think that not only is that going to overturn the whole D.C. Circuit monstrosity, but I'm pretty sure that that is going to have massive ripple effects of a ton of other cases that are going on right now. Tons. Like, did you see Arizona just indicted 15 Republicans?
I didn't see
Trump
that, no.
among them. Arizona just had a big indictment this week, and they indicted, I think, 15 Republicans, 18. Just like Georgia. Shocking. Arizona, me too. There's a whole nother topic. Arizona indicted 18 Republicans. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an unindicted co-conspirator. This is all co-conspirator. This is all 2020 Arizona election stuff.
Yeah.
Who was this and that and the other. So this is still going on, but I'm pretty sure that the Trump immunity case in front of the Supreme Court, I think that they are likely to rule he does have immunity. I think that's the right call, and I think that has a big domino effect on tons of other cases that are out there. Now, I say it does. It ought to have a domino effect, but at this point we've established, I think, Prosecutor Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan don't give two cruds about the judicial system and what ought to be. Anyway, your reaction. Have you followed this at all? Do you have any opinions on it?
No, I have not really followed it too much. I mean, I think it'd be nice if they did rule in favor of Trump. I don't really, I trust your prediction because I don't really have a prediction of my own which way they will rule. But I am certain that it will give Trump's lawyers a lot more ammunition if they do rule in favor of the former president, the once and future president, Donald J. Trump. Yeah, but even if Trump's lawyers have better ammunition, a liberal judge is not going to care because, as we've discussed, the law is a weapon for them. It needs to be a weapon for us. But we got to wait for our president to get into power so we can start doing the same things to them.
Yep, you're absolutely right. That was one of my stories. The other one, I guess, I had three, but we'll just move to the second one. First of all, this is this is one of the ones we were just talking about this before we started, and this is one that gets me mad. So, the Gateway Pundit, love him or hate him. I know a lot of even conservatives are kind of questionable. They have some pretty outlandish stuff sometimes, but they talk about stuff that no one else is talking about. We personally have always used and enjoyed the Gateway Pundit around here. They are a great source of information, even if you don't like Wikipedia. I don't trust them. Fine, don't trust them. Go and verify it. But man, they've got a lot of source material.
Yeah,
a lot of source material, and they dive into it. They've always been really good. Speakers of freedom. Well, they were tied up in a defamation case. Lawsuits related to the 2020 election fraud and conspiracy and all the different things. Well, they have had to file, I think this week the news broke, they're filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, facing these multiple defamation suits. But here's what gets me wrong, Here's what gets me angry. And this happened late last year, but we're just starting to see the ramifications of it. It kind of brings us back up. So the lawsuit they were facing was from two Georgia election workers, Ruby Freeman and Wandrea Moss, Wandrea Shea Moss, over false claims about election fraud in the 2020. And then these two folks election judges, mind you, which was we were discussing. What you practically volunteer your time. Some some places give you $50 a day. Some places maybe 150, 200. So I mean, it's not flashy. But you get paid most of the times to be an election judge. These two folks insisted that they had received harassment as a result of defamation by Jim and Joe Hoft, the founding brothers of the website Gateway Pundit. So, Protect Democracy, a nonprofit representing Freeman and Moss. Welcome back to our nonprofit discussion. Leftist nonprofits. They settled, the Gateway Pundit settled this lawsuit with a former official at voting. They also settled with a former official at Dominion Voting Systems. This is all of that happened. But what happened was a $148 million judgment was handed against these folks. These same people, I'm trying to tie a lot of strings together here from different parts of an article. These same folks that were suing the Gateway Pundit sued Rudy Giuliani. He had a $148 million judgment against him in favor of these two. Yes, you've defamed them and you owe them $148 million. I fail to see how much harassment did you suffer that it's $148 million worth. Like, fine, give me back double my fees for election day for my trouble. This is anyway.
It's very hard to believe that they suffered $148 million worth of harassment.
But looking through this, I mean, it's absolutely incredible that you look at it. This reminds me to the Alex Jones case. The Sandy Hook families were awarded more than $1 billion in damages against him. $1 billion for the Sandy Hook families. I mean, yes, I'm sorry, you tragically lost your kids, but this guy who peddles, if you call them conspiracy theories or whatever it is online, these guys who run a news site, $148 million judgment against Rudy Giuliani, bankruptcy filed on a media organization. The effects, here's my point though, running past all the numbers, the effects of lawfare are devastating and they are spreading really fast. It's not just Trump who's suffering, and then it's not just Rudy Giuliani who's suffering. They started throwing normal people in jail. Thank you, January 6th. And now they're putting media companies, press, they are putting press out of business with civil judgments. They're going to bankrupt the right. The corrupt courts are using lawfare to bankrupt the right. Not just the rich people, the poor people too. I say poor, the rest of us. Not the uber rich like Donald Trump, who can afford lawyers. You and I can't, which is why the yous and I's of the world who showed up at the Capitol on January 6th got thrown in jail. And they've been there because they need someone's help for legal fees of this amount, especially when it doesn't matter what you do. The court, the judge, the jury, all in the tank. You're done. We hate you because of your political beliefs. So go to jail. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. There's my Parks and Rec reference for the day. Straight to jail. But, believe it or not, straight to jail. Anyway, the civil effects of this are astronomical. One of the biggest bastions of free speech, love them or hate them, is filing for bankruptcy because corrupt courts allowed lawfare to bankrupt them, to throw out civil judgments in the amounts that are unfathomable. I mean, they tried to do the same thing to Trump, and then with the civil case there, but then the bond and everything. These people are not going to stop. And they are not good, to the point of our last part of the conversation, they are not going to bend to the system. They are not going to behave in any kind of ethical or moral manner. This is big to me. It's not just Trump now, and then it's not just Trump supporters now on an individual basis being thrown in jail or attacked by courts. They have put out of business, or almost put out of business, a press entity. Holy cow. And on purpose. It's not just an accident or something that happened. I mean, the left will say, that's what happens when you deal in lies. No. That is not what has happened here. You have put them out of business using a civil suit and a corrupt court on purpose.
Those election workers are just kind of the avenue for them to launch this attack, because they'll take anything that they can to launch this attack, and because I think the left is continuously getting wise to the fact that not that we can't fight back, but that we won't fight back. And they've been doing this for a while. I mean, like Letitia James has been going after VDARE for months now and trying to get those documents unsealed so they can see everybody who's ever donated just because they're anti-immigration. And like that would be really bad. But if they, and it's in New York, so it's probably going to work. And you know that puts targets on a bunch of regular people that have just donated to a website. You know, and then they got a whole list of other people they can go after, or or like this was pretty early on, but I think his Twitter name was Ricky Vaughn, but I don't know if you know much about him, but he's the guy that got thrown in jail just for posting memes online. And he's out now. He was on Tucker since he got out, but it's still insane that, you know, posting memes online can get you put in prison now. What happened to free speech? And the memes were freaking hilarious. It was it was pretty funny, but they got him for conspiracy to commit election fraud or something like that. You know, something insane like that. They will do whatever, they will stretch whatever they want to make you the bad guy.
I mean, maybe there's a third world country somewhere you could overthrow the government with meme warfare, but I mean, here, come on. Come on. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, that whole thing was just so, but it didn't get covered. It didn't get talked about. To your point, we didn't even talk about it. I didn't have it on here, but that was, you know, guy got thrown in jail for posting memes.
Right.
Thrown in jail for posting memes. Now here's the question, because I have a third thing that I could have gotten to, but honestly at this point I think that the better thing is to move on, because someone asked, one of our loyal meme lords, the meme lords are here. We're not the meme lords, by the way, Velveteen Rabbit, but
because they put the meme lords in prison.
That's right. I don't want to. I have mouths to feed, so I am not the meme lord. Also, I am not nearly as great as the meme lords of greatness, but I love them and I follow most of them. But here's the deal: one of our loyal, super uber loyal listeners. But what do you mean by serious action, Ryan? I don't have to say who this is. You know who it is.
I saw the.
Yeah, there's always that question. That is a good question, though. What does that look like? As I slowly sink down into my chair to wait for your philosophical answer. No, but really, what does that look like for you and me, for regular people, for all of us here on the caucus, for Trump and the people getting into the highest laurels of power, for our state representatives or the mid-range, I hate to say the middle managers of American government, but for the folks we can access more easily than our congressman and Trump himself. Although you can text Speaker McCarthy apparently directly, as we established before. Yeah,
he got my number.
Hitting you up for your opinion that only you can give. What does that mean? What does more serious action mean? Is it messaging? Is it electing? Is it asking our electeds to actually just go ham inside of what their power allows? Is it going full Nevada rancher and showing up on your property with a gun to like what? I'm not advocating for any one of these. I'm asking what, or is it all of them? What does that mean to you? What do you think?
Well, here's a good idea that I don't think people do enough, because I mean, I think like the macro political answer is like we have to start throwing them in jail and taking away their power by getting them just out of the playing field.
Citizens arrest?
Because that won't work very well.
I know.
Go try to citizens arrest Joe Biden, see how close they let you get. But
like, you couldn't make it happen though. He'd just fall over. You'd never get cuffs on it. Sorry, go ahead.
The left has a lot of effective foot soldiers. I'm thinking of like the Antifa people, or like the 300-pound neckbeards covered in Cheeto dust in their parents' basements. They're pretty effective in what they do, and what they're doing is getting information on people, on just regular advocates on the right, regular conservatives. You know, getting that those people have been instrumental in hunting down J6ers, because the FBI is doing a lot of work, but they've there's been a lot of volunteer work of libtards at home, these 300-pound neckbeard libtards, you know, figuring out who these people are. And they, you know, they kind of had a test run after Charlottesville, you know, which I mean, that's a bit different, but they, you know, they were finding out who these people are, where they worked, who they were connected to, and then reporting them, getting them fired from their jobs, you know, and now with J6ers, you know, getting them thrown in prison, if not fired from their jobs. So that's, that's something that the regular people on their side do. Something we can do is try to dox people. Leftists who are anonymous online, try to get their information in if they're saying deranged things, because they say some deranged things, like talking about like violence and like, I've seen some crazy tweets out there.
I mean, say some deranged things. They're protesting across college campuses saying a bunch of deranged things.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
But a lot of these people have names, they have addresses, they have employers. Those things exist. It might be a good idea to start putting those in an Excel sheet. And you can even take it a step up with journalists or nonprofit workers, advocates, getting their information, putting it in an Excel sheet. Because if our side wakes up, gets power, and decides to use power, we're going to need to know who the enemies are. And you can't, we don't have the Eye of Sauron. We can't just instantly, figure out who all the people are. So something we can do on our side is be keeping a list, tracking who these journalists and nonprofit workers are that are tearing this country apart. And, having a list of our enemies and people that we need to get rid of.
So, and I mean, I agree with that actually, but here's a component of that, another part of it, something that we cannot necessarily, you and I, do, but we can encourage other people to do. This is why I think things like the what? Have we had 2 or 3 speaker fights at this point in the last 18 months? Or are we up to 40 or 50? I forget if we're in double digits now. How many speakers of the United States House of Representatives have there been?
A lot.
Yeah, and now, of course,
Recently,
we've got,
yeah.
Now we have Speaker Kevin McCarthy. I mean, Speaker Mike McCarthy. I mean, Speaker Mike Johnson. I forget, they're all the same. Sorry, I already used that joke on air somewhere once this week. It was a good joke, though. I had to run with it again.
I like it, yeah.
It's fun. But this is why I think that those things are so important, and it is incredibly important to encourage the Matt Gaetzes and Byron Donalds and Paul Gosars and Andy Biggs of the world, and to say, no, I don't want the system to just keep going. If you and 19 others have to be the ones to shove a monkey wrench in the gear and make the whole thing stop, turn the lights off, shut it down, I don't even care, have this fight out, because all we're doing is swapping out the names or swapping out the letter behind the name, and nothing changes. If you have to bring everything to a grinding halt until people listen, do it. Break it. Break the facade of the system. It's not like it's actually working for us anyway. Oh, I can't let there be a shutdown happen, or oh, we can't let the state. And I mean, this goes for your state folks too. When they, but we don't want to, we just, that the system is already we had this conversation about a big Senate bill that passed, Senate through the House as well last week on primary and secondary education. And I heard so much garbage. It requires a stronger word. Cover your kids' ears. It's hogwash. I heard hogwash over and over again of, well, that's just how the system is. No! Dang it! You're the one there that we sent to change the system.
Right.
Don't you excuse it. How dare you,
right.
idiot. Like, I heard that over and over again from so many people who have R's behind their names.
Right.
And it frustrated me to no end, because I thought, this is the whole point, is we send you to do the right thing. And if the right thing is, hold up, we're not moving 1 more inch because this is not how we do things. It's not even that this is all bad. It's not the what, it's the how.
Right.
Stop it. That's something that you can encourage your state reps, state senators, your congressmen, your U.S. senators. I know some of these folks are harder to get a hold of than others. But tell them, I don't want you to go along with the system anymore. And I don't want you to just, there's some good principled things in this bill. The way it's being done sucks. Stop it. Be the Matt Gaetz of the Missouri House and Senate. I don't care. Yeah. Stick your monkey wrench into the gear and make it stop until everyone listens. I feel like we started to do that, at least in Missouri, and I was abundantly happy over the congressional maps. Last year, we had this big fight in the state Senate, and all of the establishment Republicans and all of the Freedom Caucus brothers was just yelling back and forth, but a bunch of them saying, why are we capitulating?
Right.
I mean, this was the whole thing. Oh, well, we have to be fair, and we can't just draw out a complete Democrat district. Yeah, we can. And then we have 1 less Democrat from Missouri going to the U.S.
Right.
Congress. Why wouldn't we do that? It's our pure, raw political power. Use it to get rid of the left that wants to destroy America. Oh, but that's not fair. Neither is them being in Congress. Get rid of them.
Right.
Draw the lines. And of course, guess what? The voices of no, we shouldn't do it this way, use our power, were eventually they got worn down. I don't know if any of them actually capitulated, but they were eventually overruled by this majority of, well, this is just the direction the system is going. You know what? Screw the system. Screw that direction. It's terrible. I need people to stand up against it at probably great expense to themselves, i.e. Donald Trump, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, potential jail time, who time and time again keeps saying, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I need that from more congressmen, more state reps, more state senators. That is another thing. You can make lists, but you can also tell your folks, I will support you. I will gather 100, 1,000, 10,000 people in your district. I will help you spearhead staying in office if you fight for us against the system. Those people need that encouragement, and then they need you to go and back them up, which means you got to become a precinct captain. You got to become the county captain and make sure that these folks get back in office when they're willing to take a stand. That is something we can actively do. And that is the next layer of people. We need that to stand up, especially at the state level, against this onslaught of federal nonsense, let alone the federal courts. That's what we need. So there's another thing to do. Action. There's a couple of action items. Specifics.
Yeah. It's helpful stuff to
hopefully
follow up on.
We'll see. We'll see. Oh, they're having their own conversation without us.
Yeah, they're talking about a theosophy, which I don't know if we brought that up today, but
I'm really glad that hey, we cracked an hour. We're at an hour and 1.
We did it.
Almost an hour and 2.
It shows 58 on.
Show us some love, Belgian. Double the numbers. Now that we've gone over an hour, maybe this cracks some
sort of. Tell your
Belgian
friends.
European algorithmic code. I don't know. Let's all celebrate with Belgian waffles tonight. State legislators aren't hard to get a hold of. There we go. They're listening. They're paying attention.
They
Thank you
are
to
not
the folks.
hard to get a hold of.
The folks in Rumble. That's true. They're not.
In a lot of states, they list like their contacts on the state
I was about to
websites.
say,
you know,
in a
you
lot
can get
of
in touch with their offices pretty easily.
You can get in touch with their offices, but frankly, it's not hard. Like, a lot of these folks will give you their cell numbers. Their office often is a cell number when it's not set. Like part-time legislatures like ours, the office number is literally a cell phone that they carry a lot of the time. You can get a hold of these people. They are literally your neighbors. I mean, that you know where you can find them. So it really is incredible. Hey, now they're celebrating over an hour. It really is doable, but we must have the will to fight. We must have action steps to the point of the folks here in Rumble. You got to have an actual, actionable, objective, palpable action item, but we have to have the will to do it, and then we have to demand that same will from those people who are supposedly accountable to us.
Yeah.
That's it. My last point kind of dovetails into that, but we'll save it for another time. There's a great article over at Liberty Sentinel. Alex Newman, our wonderful friend of the Eagles, an Eagle himself, he was out at the CISPOA conference. I like saying CISPOA, but no, it's the CSPOA, the pardon me, the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. Fun thing, they had a big conference out in Las Vegas. Where else do you have conferences nowadays if you're a conservative? Apparently Las Vegas only. We really need to stop. Can I suggest this? Can we stop having all of our conferences in Sin City, please? I know that there's lots of convention centers, but I just feel like it's maybe questionable and we should go somewhere else. Anyway, St. Louis, outside of the city, like St. Charles County, St. Louis County. Wonderful place. We got a convention center here. Anyway, there's a really neat thing there, and Alex Newman was going, we might throw this in as a bonus thing, because he is talking to, oath of office, sheriffs with a very specific constitutional duty and very specific abilities that are often unused to deputize people, to protect the law, to protect citizens against federal and state. Sheriffs just kind of are a law unto themselves. That's not the right way to say it. Sheriffs have a very unique place in the law. And that's kind of a fun concept as far as who's going to defend you when everyone else is coming against you. Sheriff is a very interesting word to then consider. I'm going to post that as a thing because we didn't really want to get into it and take more time.
And I guess I'm going to give a shout out to my last thing.
Yeah, shout it out.
This, not necessarily political, but very interesting. Check out the Vesuvius Scrolls. It is one of the most interesting historical things going on right now. Mount Vesuvius erupted in 75 AD. we found this scroll. People found this scroll that was burnt. It looks like it's just would turn into ash instantly if you touched it. But they put out $1 million in prize money for people that are able to use like AI and unwrapping technology, like super complex computer stuff, to get into these scrolls and find out what's actually on it. And we're finding out things about history that we never knew before, which is they found where Plato's gravesite is from the work they've done on these scrolls, and they're still doing it. We're finding works by ancient philosophers that didn't exist before, that we had no idea about. So it's a very neat project. There will be a link to some information about it in the redacted email.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all I got.
We got to go, though. I don't know if you can hear the sirens, but they're coming
They're
for
coming
us.
for us.
We talked one too many times about dangerous things today.
Yeah.
I just should check. Is our YouTube stream still on even?
Yeah, it's going. It's going.
Is it going? We always joke, and we didn't today. We just dove right into it. But the dangerous things that YouTube doesn't like us to talk about. Ooh, ideas. Oh, boy. That's that. Well, let's wrap it up. We'll call it a day. We hit over an hour. I'd say that's good enough. This is a redacted email you don't want to miss, folks. And this is an interesting installment, this episode, that you might want to send along to someone else. There was a lot of conversation. I'm sorry if we weren't as active. I say weren't as active in the live chat. You guys were just active with each other. I mean, we weren't even necessary. I'm glad we could facilitate your conversation. No, I'm kidding. It's good. The Rumble live stream's where it's at, folks. Go and watch that. Of course, broadcasting on X, broadcasting on Facebook, broadcasting on YouTube, and of course at unauthorizedcaucus.com. Go there. You'll find all the broadcasts. You can find the podcast. You can send it to friends. And you can sign up for the email list to make sure you get the redacted email. Here is one thing I want to make sure we tell you. There are some awesome, awesome things coming up. Go to phyllisschlafly.com. If you go over into the events section, Eagle Council and the special 100th birthday celebration of Phyllis Schlafly are coming this August 14 and 15 in Bedminster, New Jersey. And not just in Bedminster, New Jersey, at the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster. I think that's what conservatives mean. We say Bedminster, we forget, oh, that's a literal town that has other things. No, we mean Trump's Golf Club. That's the only thing in Bedminster I think of. Anyway, we'll be there. You can come too. August 14 and 15, go take a look at eaglecouncil.com or phyllisschlafly.com. You'll find the flyer, and there is a sign-up list by emailing us to get onto, and then official registration is opening soon. There's also some other cool stuff. There's a patent event coming. If you go to phyllisschlafly.com/patents in late May, there's an event happening out in D.C. If you're in the area and you'd like to go, there's an RSVP there. Let us know. Or if you want to send that flyer to your elected representatives out in D.C., your congressman and your 2 senators, do it. They or their staff might want to come. And Phyllis Schlafly has a very long and interesting legacy on patents and intellectual property, a very key constitutional thing. We should do a whole episode on patents here sometime. Patents and IP, because it is. There's your other. We opened with trivia, T-. We'll close with trivia. The only use of the word right in the Constitution proper, not including the Bill of Rights, is referring to the right of creators to their own intellectual property and their designs and creations. That's the only time the word right is used in the Constitution proper, not the amendments. It's a very important thing here in America, but it's kind of a off to the side issue. So we do a lot on that. There's something there too at phyllisschlafly.com/patents, and then of course eaglecouncil.com. Put those 2 on your calendars and on your radar. And of course, don't forget, you have to put next Thursday at noon. What's going to happen?
This is going to happen. Unauthorized Caucus.
This is
with
gonna
Ryan
happen.
and Mason.
Unauthorized Caucus next Thursday at noon. We'll look forward to seeing you all again next one. Don't be late.